Welcome to another episode of the Unnamed Sports Podcast. We're back after our divisional round games.
Yep.
So we're going to go over those games, and then we'll make our predictions for the upcoming conference championship games. So I guess with that, I'm Brian.
I'm Rob.
And here we go. So the first game was between the Ravens and Houston.
Yeah, the Texans.
What did you think? C.J. Stroud, yeah.
I didn't watch them much over the year, but I'm pretty impressed by him. And they have a bunch of young receivers, and they were in it.
They were in it.
Until halftime. But the Ravens defense really
clamped down.
Yeah,
it was. I think C.J. Stroud was that guy all season where no one had ever really seen a rookie quarterback play like that.
Yeah.
I know I had never seen it. I think, you have somebody like Patrick Mahomes who comes in on their second year and they do really, really well.
Yep.
But C.J. Stroud came in playing excellent football. But I think going into it, I knew that the Ravens' defense was they're just too good.
Well, they were exactly the same. Love and Stroud. At the end, they were throwing these throws that you wouldn't make, and they were completing them up till now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it
fell apart. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's the thing about the Ravens. Their defense is so fast, and then you're dealing with the quarterback where if you're not putting up points, if you're not putting pressure on them, and especially putting pressure on him, you're going to be it's almost impossible.
Also their kicking game.
Yeah.
The guy hasn't missed in like 5 years, you know what I mean? And he can hit from 55,
Yeah.
So
and when you look at it, the only times that the Texans scored was on that run back on the kickoff return or on the punt return. And it looked like they could have. It was like they were lucky that they were in it. And then all of a sudden the Ravens just turned it up a notch.
Well, at halftime, and you never know what's going to happen, but it flipped the Ravens' way.
And I've heard about the Ravens that they used to have a problem when it came to adjustments. Like if some team was doing something, they kind of just continued to do the same thing in the second half, hoping that it would work out.
Yep.
But now they actually make these adjustments.
Yeah, it seems like I'm not sure if it's a new offensive coordinator, but they geared it towards Lamar Jackson. But it's a little different now. It seems like he has more in his bag of tricks.
Oh, he's got a lot of great players on his team.
Yeah.
They're a really good running team. It's just it's like what they did to San Francisco.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, good grief. Like they can do that to anybody. And they shut them down. And then like when you look at their schedule, they've beaten all these great teams. They didn't just beat them, they've dominated them. And I think moving forward, that's going to be the thing. Like, who can stop them? Because it's like they can score on you and they can stop you, and that is a deadly combination.
Well, if they get into the Super Bowl, somebody might pull the plug on them like the last.
Yeah, right. Just to hopefully shut them down.
Wasn't that San Francisco?
I think so.
Was it San Francisco against?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, go on.
So now, knowing that was a good game, but it was like it was kind of known in the second half. It was like over in the third quarter, you could tell. So we'll move on to San Francisco versus the Green Bay Packers.
Same sort of thing. You know what I mean? It was close. Brock Purdy got away with murder in the beginning of the game. He was throwing everything wide right, and he was...
Well, he should have been picked off a number of times.
Twice at least.
Even when you look at the final drive, he made a pass that, there was three guys converging, and he just got it over the one guy's hand. I would say that was pretty lucky.
Yeah,
but in the first half, he was playing so poorly. Like, I have never seen him play that badly, and he got away with it. He was getting lucky.
And what's his name? The running back for the Green Bay Packers was having his way.
Yeah. The Green Bay Packers, I thought, should have won that game. I think Jordan Love at the end panicked. I don't think that he needed to make throw that ball out of bounds. You don't need, when you looked at the replay, there was no way.
There was three San Francisco guys and the one.
Yeah.
And the Green Bay guy was the furthest guy away.
He had no chance. I really thought, and I guess this is where you kind of, you find out what these quarterbacks are made of. I really thought that in that situation, he was going to do it. I thought he was going to pull it out because he'd been playing so well. Yeah. And the track record of, Green Bay Packer quarterbacks over the last 20 years, I'm like, oh, they just found another guy.
Yeah.
They just got themselves another guy. But he panicked, and he throws this terrible pass And because there was so much time left, it was like you would have thought that with that pass, it was the last 5 seconds of the game, and he just was hoping to get somewhere down the field.
So would they have won if they had
Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers?
I would say yeah.
Yeah,
I think I think they would have won because Aaron Rodgers probably would have outperformed Brock Purdy
probably
throughout
true,
the game.
But I think the Packers are so happy
Oh, of course.
that he's gone.
Yeah, and I think, and this is one of those things where it's like this is a young team,
And
the same
future is
thing.
bright.
Future's super bright. Same thing for the Texans. It's like
Yep.
you're not even supposed to be here yet.
Yep.
You know, you haven't really gotten knocked around. This is your moment to get knocked out.
But what I will say is that it did show me once again between the games that they lost to Baltimore, San Francisco is not unbeatable.
No, and
They have some holes. They have all these. I mean, Debo didn't play either. You know.
yeah,
what I mean?
and I don't know if he's playing in the
Yeah,
next
I
game.
don't know either. They haven't really said that. I looked yesterday, and they did. There's
And yeah, there's no word on it.
No.
But that's been like the word for Brock Purdy is like Brock Purdy will be the determining factor of if they win or if they lose.
Well, that's the other thing you hear about is Kyle Shanahan. He's always used to playing from ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the running attack, and McCaffrey was unbelievable. And
He's
he will
insane.
He will continue to be unbelievable. But when you put pressure on Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, he doesn't always
No, he usually kind of folds.
kind of folds.
Yeah,
you know?
and this is one of the rare times where, Brock Purdy makes this comeback because he's had chances earlier in the season to come back, and he's actually performed really well. I think the last time they did it, they missed a field goal.
Yep.
And this time it worked out, but it was one of those things where I still felt, I was like, oh, Green Bay, and I was like, Green Bay
I know.
is putting this kind of pressure on you?
I know.
And so that was kind of a big surprise to me. But in the back of my mind, I never thought that Green Bay was going to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just surprised they were there, just like
That's exactly
just
right.
like the Texans, and
Yeah.
I thought they made a good showing. They have a lot of great receivers. They fired their defensive coordinator, like everybody's doing now, right after the game. They fired him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily know why.
I don't either.
I think that he did a great job when he's done a great job. Like, I just don't understand that. I think they just do that to shake it up, but
the league is
keep it together.
The league is so
cutthroat.
cutthroat.
Yeah.
And not only that, when they fire this guy, he goes to another team right over here.
Yeah.
There's only so many of them around.
No, that's what's so crazy about the whole, like, the carousel of coaches in the NFL. It's you get fired, but guess what? We're all kind of looking out for each other, and we'll get you a job over here.
I know.
And so it's like I would have kept him. I think when you have a group of guys who's been through something like this, they all learn.
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't necessarily understand getting rid of these coaches so quickly.
No, and Bill Belichick is a weird thing right now, but the big thing about it is it was somewhat consistent over years.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Somewhat anyway. There was a consistency built up, and then people knew what to expect or what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you got a whole new guy coming in. It's a new
A
terminology.
new system, and then everyone's got to learn it. Like, I mean, that's when you look at the Chiefs. Like, they've had Spags forever.
Yep.
And he just doesn't want to go anywhere. And he has a system where he's bringing in kids when they're young, and he doesn't have to worry about the next year getting fired because he's bringing these kids up and learning the system.
And these other teams don't see that.
No, they want to change really
I
quick.
really don't understand. Unless they have an idea of, I want that guy.
Yes.
That's the guy we want.
Yeah, and that's the system that we want for
and
years.
we want, maybe there's that, and we don't really realize that.
But it's funny because it's through this season, there's been a number of times when a coordinator's just been kicked out.
Yeah.
I think you look at the Bills, you look at Philly, like they just get rid of a guy in the middle of the season. Like that's like he was the problem.
Yeah,
That guy was the problem, but it's never the case. Usually.
And they didn't even fire him,
No, they just moved him to a different part of the building.
Part of the building. And then they brought in what's his name, and
it was like
it was all to blame on him, and it's like
it reminds me of the scene from. It's like when they keep moving Office Space, when they keep moving the guy around. And he's just in the basement, and he just wants his red stapler.
That's it.
And that's exactly what happens to some of these guys.
It's. I mean, you must laugh about in a bunch of sports how Philadelphia has just they rise up, but they never get to the top, and then they fade.
And I got to be honest with you, as a New Yorker, it makes me very happy, especially
know.
because, Sirianni he was too big for his britches, and he was just, the way his attitude. I mean, the thing is, if he was my coach, I'd probably love him.
Yeah.
But the fact that
I saw a video of somebody throwing popcorn at him in Philadelphia after they lost.
Oh, Philly, they were throwing.
Oh,
Philly
God.
will throw anything at anybody. They'll throw batteries at Santa Claus.
I know.
All right, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Detroit Lions game.
Yeah, and this was a game, once again, people don't like Jared Goff. I've come to like Jared Goff.
I don't know why.
And I also like, what's his name from Cleveland that's now on Tampa Bay, the quarterback.
Oh, Baker.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
No, they both have had tough times, and they both made it to that game, and it was a good game. I think that Detroit just had a little bit more than Tampa Bay in the end.
I think Detroit keeps surprising me, but I wouldn't say that this was a surprise. I think the surprise that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were here
At all.
was the bigger surprise.
I agree.
Baker Mayfield, throughout I think before the season started, people were kind of still like, this guy, like we're still giving this guy chances, but he's a football player, and he's like, you could tell that his attitude is infectious. People like him in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main things. Like, if
He
you
also
play
had
with him.
Calvin Ridley and Mike Evans.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are two number ones in my book. I mean,
Yeah, if
Mike
other
Evans
quarterbacks.
is the best. To
Yeah.
me. He's just unbelievable.
No, but I was still kind of surprised at how Tampa Bay was in it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of worried, honestly. I was kind of like, because I wanted Detroit to move on, because Detroit, they're Detroit.
Well,
And
the
it
game
just-
was in Detroit, and they're so happy, and
Yeah.
you know,
You don't want to see them getting like their hearts broken.
well, this might happen this week, but
But at least they're not in Detroit
they're
to
on
do
the road,
it.
and,
Yeah.
and they're playing with house money a little bit too now. But that kid, the running back, I think his name is Gibbs.
Yes.
He's a rookie. Fast or what? I mean, it was a safety for Tampa Bay. He just ran
Right by him.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable.
No,
So-
Detroit's one of those teams where, like, I keep expecting some kind of them to falter. I expect them to fail, but they've played so well.
Yeah.
They're well coached. They love their coach. The culture of the team seems like it's ready for winning.
Yeah.
And Jared Goff, I don't know. This guy has never done anything wrong.
No, I mean, they just give him a hard time because of the game against the Patriots in the Super Bowl when he couldn't do anything. And
But that's what happens when you
that's
play
what
the
happens.
Patriots in the Super
You know,
Bowl.
Back then, that was
Yeah.
what you got. You didn't get blown out, but you didn't go anywhere. And
Yeah, and it was just tough.
16-13, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he
that
just
was-
kinda had to
that was
grind
what
it
was.
out.
So, and he's taken it. He's worked hard, you know what I mean? And it's really a good
Oh,
story.
he's got a team that believes in him, and they are a squad. I mean, offensively, they're very tough to deal with.
Yeah, they got the Laporta, the tight end, and then that St. Cloud guy.
Yeah.
They say he's tough as nails. He's small, but he really. I've never seen him. I don't think I've seen him drop a ball. I don't know. He's really.
No, he's really good. But this is another game where it was another cross-body throw at the end of the game to kind of seal the fate
Yeah.
of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was one of those things where I think with Baker, it's like he's good, but to a limit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have like the arm talent that a lot of these other guys have. He's not as big as some of these other guys.
Yeah.
I always feel like when I'm looking at, like, if I'm looking at a Josh Allen throw or a Lamar Jackson throw, or even Goff and Mahomes and all, like, they throw, it doesn't seem like it's that much effort.
Yeah.
And when I watch Baker, I'm like,
Yeah, he's
like
firing it.
hurling rocks or something.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. They didn't have any running attack either.
No.
I don't even know who was their running back. I mean, it wasn't bad. They were in it, but you know,
But they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop.
I thought all the way through that Detroit was going to find a way to win that
Yeah.
game, and they did.
And Detroit's offense is very good.
Yeah.
And it's you got to keep up with them. And they make like second down, third downs. They're usually pretty short. They're never really in a third and long situation.
Yeah, they play the sticks. They
They play
don't
on-
get behind the sticks.
Yeah, they
so.
play on time, on
Yep.
schedule. But it was like, once again, it was an okay game. It ended a little bit like flatly, and
Yeah.
I was expecting some kind of drama. But with that, we can move on.
Kansas City, Buffalo.
Kansas City Buffalo was the game that everybody been waiting for. It was the game
Yeah.
everybody wanted to see.
And I have to say that Mahomes was okay. He was okay. I mean, but they ran the ball well.
That's the thing.
Pacheco is a crazy man there. That guy.
Pacheco. So I heard that I think he lost both of his siblings to different tragedies.
Wow.
And after he lost his sister, they say something in him changed, and his whole football career changed after that. But that guy runs. Like I was talking to a friend of mine, it's as if when I look at him, it wouldn't surprise me if he had razor blades on his elbows and knees, because it just looks like it's hard to tackle him. Like if you
Yeah.
tackle him, you're gonna cut yourself somehow.
Well, he's still running even after the play's over. And he gets
No,
up
he
and
gets
runs.
up, he's running. It's just
intense. Intense.
But I would say about Mahomes, the thing is Mahomes was super efficient.
Super efficient.
The amount of time that was the amount of time that the Bills had the ball, it was 10 minutes more, something crazy.
Yeah.
And they had triple the amount of third downs. Mahomes didn't need to get the third down. They were just scoring.
Where was, what's his name? Buffalo's big receiver.
Oh, I mean, Diggs?
Yeah, gone.
Well, Diggs had opportunities. He had an opportunity to catch a deep pass, went right through his hands.
I'm not a Diggs fan.
I don't know if a lot of
He's-
people are a Diggs fan.
He's an out front guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're winning, I'm unbelievable. When I'm losing, you were bad.
No,
You
he
know
made
what I
some. He had some nice catches. He had that. There was one really nice catch in the middle of the field that him and Josh Allen timed out really, really nicely. But when the moment was the biggest, he shrunk. I mean, he had the ball there. I mean, I know it's coming from a million miles up, but this is what you get paid for.
Yeah.
And what kind of frustrated me on the Monday after, listening to all the sports analysts talking about Josh Allen in any kind of negative way. I don't get it. Josh Allen played the times that he's lost to Mahomes, he's played so well.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can say, oh, Josh, maybe he missed a pass here or there, or he should have passed there or there, but he played so well. He got his team into position. They went for the end zone, but he got stepped on because Chris Jones was blocking or knocking somebody into him.
Yep.
And then on the last play, you could have gone underneath to try and get a little bit closer, but he had a guy open in the end zone. It just didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And then in Buffalo, you're sitting there kicking in crazy wind,
weather,
and you're dealing with lake effect.
They don't play. You don't feel that they play smart. You know what I mean? I mean, I've always questioned a lot of times, especially when he was with Philadelphia, Andy Reid's clock management.
Yes.
But he's better than he used to be.
Yeah, he still gets himself in trouble sometimes.
But Buffalo, they just, I don't know. There's something about it that's off.
Well, there's the decision to do the fake punt.
Yeah.
That to me made no sense. Force this dude to go the full length of the field.
That's right.
You don't need. There was 10 minutes left.
I know.
And you're doing this on your own 29.
I know.
They got very, very lucky that McCole Harbin fumbled the ball into the end zone,
yes.
which to me is another. That would be an example of Andy Reid outsmarting himself. Pacheco got you down there. Give that ball to the crazy man Pacheco. It's the same thing when you look like the Marshawn Lynch situation back in Seattle, where it's why are you just saw this guy rip through your defense?
You're thinking it.
Give it to this guy because he's not going to.
Well,
really
I imagine that. I don't know how. I forget how it lined up, but Pacheco came out because he was tired, so Harden goes in, right? And they call the play, and I mean he ran good.
Yeah.
He just reached.
He just reached, and because earlier Travis Kelce had a touchdown, because he was running to the edge. He did not reach. Yeah. He kept the ball close, and then you try and get your torso into the end zone.
And he dove out sideways past the plane and got in the end zone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And so, but I'm not going to fault McCole Harbin that much. I'm not going to fault him that much. I mean, they played, they played really, really well. Marquez Valdez-Scantling caught a ball that looked like it was, dropped into him, but it was a tough catch. And all year, this dude's been struggling.
Yeah.
And so that was that was surprising to see that all of a sudden, because it was usually what you're seeing in the course of the season, and you say, oh, it went away, and then it rears its ugly face. And a part of me, when we get to it, was waiting for that to happen, and it never happened. And then
I just think that Buffalo is destined to lose again. And I don't really know what they can do. I thought they had all the cards this year. Their defense was kind of decimated.
Yep.
They played a lot of tough games. They play in tough weather, even tougher than Kansas City. Maybe not as cold, I don't know. But
they were getting,
on a regular basis, they play in the Northeast. They play in New York. They play in New England. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's tougher games that they play. But I don't know. And the thing is about Buffalo is next year they'll all come back, and Josh Allen runs on the first game, and somebody hits him in the knee. And he's gonna go down. It's a matter of time.
It's football. Like he's been very lucky, and I know that the last game he had like the fake slide.
Yeah, that really made me mad. They really have to do something about that.
Yeah, if you start that, and then you get hit.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna start calling. It's like a very hard thing to kind of figure out.
So he fake slid, then he kept going, and then he got hit.
Yeah.
And then they gave him 15 yards more. That don't get me on.
That can be very infuriating.
Yeah.
But I would say that I was surprised. It was just a surprising game. The Kansas City Chiefs all season kind of did a really good job of bottling up teams for the most part, and it seemed in the first half that they were going to do the same thing the Bills were just going for it.
I didn't hear Chris Jones's name that much either.
No, he only had that one big
because usually,
play.
He's the guy that you're going to depend on, and he probably played a great game. I just didn't hear his name called. You know what I mean? He didn't have. They played defense as a unit.
They do, and the thing was they were running a lot. Bills were running a lot.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it's like, you know what? We'll let you run. And you can slowly matriculate the ball down the field. But when it comes time for, are you going to get a deep play on us? We're trying to limit that.
Once again, that's another Bill Belichick way. You're going to go 90, 80 yards, and you're going 8 at a time.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it 15 times to get all the way down.
And then we'll tighten up when we get to the red zone.
Because then there's less room. That's the whole way that works.
And that's basically, what happened in the end of the game. It was the Bills couldn't get anything going. The Chiefs' defense really came through. Yep. And it's scary when you look at a team like the Chiefs, who have been known to be more offensive minded. Their defense has always been like their kind of weakness.
Yeah.
And to see them start really kind of working really well all season long, it means that they're always going to be in a game.
That defense has always been pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Interchangeable parts, but and now they're saying, I think this is Chris Jones is leaving after this year.
I'm sure.
I keep hearing that.
That's what they keep saying.
For the big contract, I think he's probably coming to the Patriots.
There you go. He's going to have him. Oh, God. All right. Well, now we can
talk about this weekend.
Now we can talk about this weekend. We should start with, I think, the least of the two interesting games. I'd say the Detroit Lions versus the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
I personally think the 49ers will outlast the Detroit Lions at home. I just think the Detroit Lions it's Detroit.
Yeah, you know what else was? It goes into this game and last game. Did you see that it rained in San Francisco, and everybody on San Francisco was sliding all over the place, and they were changing shoes. They couldn't even play in rain.
Is the forecast?
I don't know, but it rains a lot. This time of year, it rains a lot.
And that seems like a Brock Purdy kind of
kryptonite. And if
kryptonite.
that's the case, you know what I mean? That mattered to them so much.
Oh, yeah. That's why I think the game with Green Bay was so close. Brock Purdy was struggling to hold on to that ball.
Yeah.
And I do think that I think that Detroit is a better team than Green Bay. I think that Detroit I don't know. They do have a fire in them this year where it's certainly possible. I think the number is people are it's 70% chance that 74 to 25% chance that
Oh, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, that the San Francisco wins.
Well,
but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tough game for the 49ers. But they have like Christian McCaffrey is just so good.
I know.
And
I think that's the biggest question: is the interior of Detroit. Are they going to be able to hold McCaffrey in check?
And that's what scared me when I was watching.
And that's their goal, is to make Purdy beat them, right?
Yeah.
Especially if Debo plays or doesn't play. If Debo doesn't play, because then you have McCaffrey and Debo running the ball.
Yeah, which is almost impossible.
Almost impossible. So, and then you have, their tight end and their fullback comes into play, blocking and everything. That's going to be tough for Detroit to stop.
It is. So I'm assuming you're also picking.
Oh, no, I'm picking Detroit.
You're picking Detroit?
Well, because I want Detroit to win.
Okay.
It's a love fest.
Yeah. I mean, I want Detroit to win, and that's probably why I'm picking the 49ers, because I do that a lot with any of the teams that I want to win. I just pick against them.
Well, when it's not my team, I tend to go underdog just because.
Yeah. I think the story of seeing Detroit in the Super Bowl would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great.
It's not this way now. On the other side, with Kansas City and Baltimore, you would think I don't like either one.
Yeah.
And I don't. I like both of their quarterbacks. I like Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
I just like him. He's a likable guy. I would want neither one to win, maybe, but I don't like Baltimore at all. I never liked the Ray Lewis, the Suggs, all over the years, all these guys. That guy Queen. Every time I watch that guy Queen play, do you know him?
Yeah.
Linebacker. He hits people from behind. He whacks people in the helmet. He could have got 5 calls against him in that last game, and they
let it go.
They pushed people away.
Yeah.
They were doing that every time he was involved. So I always go against Baltimore.
But it's going to be so we can talk about that game. Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, ESPN says it's 63.6 to 34. So 36. Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big.
That should be closer than that.
I would say that anytime you have Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be tough. Yeah. And every time Patrick Mahomes goes against the best defense in the league, they end up not looking like the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
I think, but the difficult part about the Ravens compared to any of the other teams that they've played is that they are healthy
and fast.
And they are fast on both sides of the ball. They are super difficult to stop.
And they are going to be gunning.
Yeah.
If Mahomes runs.
Oh, they're going to try and mess him up.
They're going to hit him out of bounds.
Yeah.
They'll take the 15 yards.
Yeah, they don't care.
They just want to hit him. And they're going to do that. I'll tell you, I would bank on that happening, that there's going to be a 15-yard penalty against Baltimore, hitting Mahomes
out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
You think that'll happen in the first half or second half?
First half.
The first chance they get.
First quarter.
They're going to try.
As soon as he runs, they're going to try and drill him.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. You know what I mean? That's how they play.
I mean, that's why you hate them.
And then it's going to go back the other way. Then somebody's going to drill Lamar.
And I would say of the two quarterbacks, Lamar is so good at.
Yeah.
First and foremost, he's excellent out of the pocket. Him and Mahomes kind of right there, and Josh Allen right there. Where when they start to scramble, it's a problem. Lamar does a really good job of not getting hit. Both him and Mahomes do a really good job of not getting hit. But I always fear for Lamar more than I would fear for Mahomes, because Lamar, his cuts are so just on point. That I fear that he's going to just his knee is going to go that way and he's going to go that way. That's my biggest fear.
It's like he's playing in a phone booth. He's running around.
Yeah. And you see the reactions of the players who play against him when he's scrambling and they're like, how? How did you make that? How did you make that play? And they just, they're so frustrated by it.
Well, and Mahomes has made plenty of plays like
that
too.
Plenty of
plays.
And I would say, I think the big question for the Chiefs in the last game was, how is Mahomes going to do on the road? This is the first time that he's on the road. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. If anything, he has a better record on the road.
Mahomes is better than Lamar with the ball in his hands, meaning the underhand pass.
Yeah.
The pass when you're in somebody's arms.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot better at stuff like that. Lamar is better at getting away.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
And Lamar, the thing that's kind of crazy is in these last 4 games that we just watched, there was not many turnovers. There really weren't many turnovers. Josh Allen had a fumble that luckily was recovered by the Bills.
Yeah, that was a crazy play.
Yeah, they just got to fall on that, honestly.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
got to fall on that. There's no reason to go running after the ball. But even Mahomes hasn't made any mistakes like that. He'd been having a kind of an interception-y season.
Yes. He played within himself.
Yeah.
And that Buffalo, and it sounds like they went into it saying that we're just going to play our game and be tight and compact, and Buffalo is going to end up shooting themselves.
Forcing it too. Yeah, forcing it. But Lamar, I would say, has been the most impressive this year, and the reason why he'll get the MVP is because he only has 7 interceptions. He does not make many mistakes.
Not anymore.
And they are so tough. And watching what they'd done to the 49ers, to Dallas, everybody that they played, they kind of put them in a box in the second half and just kind of stretched the lead. I think that'll be a little bit tougher this time around, but I have to think, in my heart of hearts, I just can't. I never want to pick against Mahomes. I love Mahomes. I think he's one of the most fun. But I think that this is Lamar's chance.
Yeah.
And if there's a season to win it, it's right now.
Yep.
You got the contract, so you're set there. Mentally, you're in the right headspace.
Yep.
Your defense is super healthy. Your offense is super healthy. All around, your team is great. But that's why I would pick them. But then again, it's the NFL, and from 1 week,
Harbaugh to lose it.
That's the main reason.
I wanted to call a 4th down run and get stuffed. That would be great for me.
Well, with that, I would say I'm gonna pick Baltimore because I think Lamar can do it. But it was funny. They asked Lamar, like, what are you most excited about in your matchup against Mahomes? And his answer was, I'm not excited about it at all. I don't want to have a. And I thought that was kind of telling, where it's like most people would say, like, I'm just excited to get out there and compete, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm not excited about it at all. And I'm like, that's an interesting take. And that might be a little bit of a mental weakness if you admit that.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
So I'm picking Kansas City and Detroit.
Yeah, you beat me last week. I think you got most of the. I can't remember who all I picked, but you picked Kansas City to beat the Bills.
I picked Detroit.
You picked Detroit, 49ers. You picked 49ers, and then the Ravens. I mean, it was a pretty simple one. But so this week you're going Detroit
and
Kansas City. So that's your Super Bowl.
That's my Super Bowl.
Have you, just before we go, have you seen the conspiracy theories that are out there about the Super Bowl logo?
No.
So the last couple of years, the Super Bowl logo, it comes out before the season, pretty much. And then the colors have matched the teams.
Who ends up
the
playing?
Teams who end up playing. And I think this year, let me see if I can find it really quick. I think this year it's the Ravens colors.
Oh, wow.
Super Bowl logo.
Oh, well, so Harbaugh's cheating.
Yeah. And I think this year, this year it looks Raven-esque. It looks like it's Ravens versus 49ers.
Wow, look at that.
So I'm gonna go with the conspiracy.
I can see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm picking from the heart.
That's good. That's always good.
So that's the way I'm doing it.
All right, so we'll come back next week and review the games, and we'll talk about a little bit of Super Bowl.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.